Hey, welcome back. I can't believe it's week 6 of RiSE, the podcast. Just so you know, my first recording, we record this a few days before we air it, was on August 17th. And August 17th was a special day in, in my world. And in terms of why did I choose that day? August 17th in 2002, I hosted my first ever radio show after losing a job. And I thought, oh, I got to create my new life. And that was the first day I went to air. And don't think like, for those watching today, because we're going to talk about this a little bit in our conversation with Emmy Rousseau, who's here with us today as our guest. Don't think that things just come easy. That was a lot of blood, sweat, and tears to get that first show going. So welcome to week 6 of RiSE, the podcast. It's the weekly podcast that intends to bring positive change to the world. It's a podcast really that defends the business owner, the small business owner. As you know, in this past 19 months, entrepreneurs have been really rocked. And we embrace creativity, new ideas, problem solving, independent critical thinking, finding a new path and way with passion. And of course, if you're an entrepreneur, a bit of blood, sweat, and tears to make it happen. And each week we feature great guests who are making a difference for good, whether it's how we do business, leading at work, making a community stronger, eradicating poverty, touting abundance, new ways to heal or be healthy, or maybe it's about empowering youth, or so they can be all they can be, or learning from our elders and honoring them. This is a show and a journey of ideas, solutions, and new thinking that has us all want to create a vision for where we want to be and who we want to be. So let's welcome our guest, Emmy Rousseau. She's the founder of Trinity Transformations, a company that's devoted to helping overachievers who deal with anxiety, shame, and guilt, and even depression to heal. Emmy has struggled with high functioning depression for years and has developed a robust toolbox that allowed her to stop treading water and begin to thrive. And you know, when you're treading water, it's taken all your energy. When you thrive, you don't have to work so hard. You just are. She now brings her toolbox of healthy life affirming strategies for coping with her in her work as a speaker, a coach, a Zumba teacher, a school teacher, and a personal growth guide. Emmy is a sought after speaker and has been on stages and events like Speaker Slam, the Online Mental Health Summit for Entrepreneurs, the Girl, It's Your Life Tour, and Her Story, which is around women's global empowerment online event, as well as she just finished co-hosting Amplifying Voices, a mental health or mental wealth event that had those share their stories of their mental health journeys and issues and how they managed to transform and be able to now thrive as well, just like our guest. Welcome, Emmy, and so good to have you with us today.
Thanks, David. It's so great to be here today.
You know, when you get to my age, Emmy, you know what we say? At
What do you
my
say?
age, it's great to be everywhere, anywhere.
Listen, every
Um,
day, all of us need to be grateful that we're just here. Let me tell
Yeah,
you.
yeah. Well, gratitude is part of what will I bet you that's in your toolbox.
It's definitely in my toolbox. It's one
Yeah.
of my pillars. So
So I'm going to start a little bit with that, and then we're going to get to visualization and also this, we'll talk about your silent retreat going on. So, you know, um, in the bio that I read and in your work, a lot of it is working with people with mental health issues. How did mental health issues impact your life? When it was a bit rocky, what was the impact?
well, for years, I really thought that there was something wrong with me. But because I was so high functioning, I had the good grades. Like from 14, I remember feeling like that. What's wrong with me? What's wrong with me? What's wrong with me? But I had good grades. I had good friends. I was in the clubs. I was doing all the things. Then, later on, I went to school, went to Japan and taught there for a year, came back,
Wow.
got married, got the house, had the 2 kids, then had 3 kids. Like I had that perfect life. So everybody thought I was fine. And when I would say, I'm not fine, like I'm really struggling, I would get shut down. Oh, it's probably just seasonal affective disorder. It's the winter. Oh, it's probably just report cards are coming because I was a teacher. It's probably just this and it's probably just that. And you're fine. You're totally fine. So that was the biggest thing for me, was like, I felt very unvalidated. And you start to think then, like, am I crazy for thinking there's something wrong? Like literally, am I crazy? Because I feel like I'm drowning inside and everybody else seems to think I'm doing just great. So that was probably the biggest impact on me, is that the few people I did reach out to didn't believe me. And so that made me doubt myself even more.
So how did it affect your self-worth as a woman, a teacher, a business owner?
Well, I never at that time had a good sense of self-worth, but it just made it even worse. Like it just, that's an affirmation that you don't have, you're not worthy, right? So it fed into that belief of, okay, don't trust yourself. You're fine. Everybody else says you're fine. You must be making a bigger deal of it. So just get over it. You're stop doing this, get off the pity party kind of thing. So it makes you feel even less of a person. Absolutely.
On the outside, it looked great. You had the job, the house, the marriage, 2 kids, whatever, right? 2.2 kids,
That's right.
Um, were you able then to delve into the root cause of the anxiety and depression?
Absolutely. I've done a lot of work with therapists, with coaches, with clarity coaches, like a lot of inner work, personal development work, books, everything. And I realized the root of a lot of my limiting beliefs, a lot of my issues. And a lot of it goes back to inner child work. I'm still working through some inner child work. There's layers and layers and layers, but the more I unpack it, the better I feel all the time. It doesn't always feel great in the unpacking, of course. That can be like very icky sometimes, but I know that I'm not going to stay in it. I'm not going to get stuck in it. And so it's been super helpful. And like I said, that's where I've brought all these tools and made this toolbox of it. For me, it didn't have to be just medication that was going to fix me. And I later learned I didn't need to fix me. I'm perfect, whole, and complete, as we all are. But at the time, that's what I was looking for, was a fix.
Right. And what was the root cause, do you think? Was it just like, learned beliefs from the environment you grew up with? I know our parents, we want to blame our parents, but, I always look at them and go, well, they did the best they could with what they had. So what was that root cause, or that core story? I know for me, my journey was, well, nothing, don't bother because it's not going to work out. And
Right.
that was after a loss of my dad when I was 10. And so my inner critic has played havoc my whole life. I call him Krusty the Clown from The Simpsons. And he sits on my couch. He's got a bad comb over, a white t-shirt, and he's wearing shorts, drinking beer, watching sports. And he's going, wow, why bother? It's not going to work out. So were you able to, touch base with that sort of, you know, person inside of you, and what happened? Who was it? What was the story?
Absolutely. So I love that you've named it and you have such a vivid visual for that. That'll come on great when we talk
I
about
I had
visualization.
it. I had another one years ago when Bin Laden was alive, and I called it been lying. I've been lying to you all your life, right? And I called it my inner terrorist.
Right.
So
Well, mine is, that's amazing. I love it. Mine is actually my inner child, this little girl who, the more I explore and delve deep, I realize she's probably only 4 years old, approximately 4 years old, who was like left under the table in a corner. I left her. Like I did. I left her. I disassociated. I put on this mask of like, I have to be strong. I have to be the strong older sister. I have to protect my brother, because I grew up in a family where there was mental and emotional abuse. And so I became this adult. I was always told I was mature beyond my years. And so that's who I became. I wasn't the kid at all.
Mm.
And leaving that little girl, she would cry out sometimes and be like, hey, hello, like I'm here. What the F?
Yeah.
I just, aren't you seeing me? And she led me to do a lot of not so unsure things, but and I never understood, like, why can't I just be calm? Why do I get so raging mad? Well, because that little girl inside is like, listen to me. You haven't been listening to me. This is a big deal. Let's deal with this.
Yeah.
And I wasn't. I just left her under the table in the corner for years and years and years.
So who helped you access that part of yourself, and who really helped you heal? You said you've gone through, to a few coaches and
Yeah, a
so
lot of
who really
people. I don't think I can attribute it to just one person. I will say that my amazing friend Tara McCrory, who is a clarity coach and Akashic Records reader, really kind of turned a key for me. But I had seen therapists beforehand and I always had some growth. So, like lots of people along the way, when she kind of turned me on to meditation and visualization in a different way than it had ever been expressed to me, that unlocked the key for me, because really we have all the answers inside of ourselves. So it's us who heal ourselves, but we just also need guidance and help sometimes because we don't know. It's buried so deep in the layers of, wallpaper crap that we've built up over the years that we can't necessarily rip it all off. We can't see outside our jar to rip it all off on our own. So yeah, she would be the one that kind of turned the key for me, for sure.
So was there a magic bullet to it, to the healing?
For me, finding meditation and visualization was the magic bullet. Absolutely.
So the journey to wholeness and self-love and acceptance, would it be a day-to-day process?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. I don't think there's an end point. I think it's a continual life journey. And I think we're going to just keep evolving every day and growing every day and learning more about ourselves every day.
So your toolbox, what's in it?
Well, of course, you heard meditation and visualization.
Yeah, I don't know when we're going to get to that.
Our two big ones. Gratitude, absolutely. That was actually a Reiki, a massage therapist that was a mobile massage therapist that also did some Reiki. And one day she was at my house and she said, could I do some Reiki? I guess she sent something, I don't know. I was like, okay. I didn't know anything about Reiki at the time. All right. And then she started talking to me about this 5-minute journal app that she used to express her gratitude every day and set intentions for the day. And that was also a game changer for me. Like when I had heard, growing up, Oprah say, have a gratitude journal. I was like, hell no, I don't, what am I writing down? Like funny. I love to write when I love to write, but having to write every day becomes a chore to me. So I was like, no, I resisted. I'd try it. Then I was like, it doesn't work. I forget. I leave the journal here when I go visit my mom or whatever. It just was not working for me. So anyways, I found this 5-minute journal app, and that really started to help me to see the positives in life more and focus on the positives in life more. So that was the first big tool. And then after that, as an educator, I learned about growth mindset. And I really thought like, well, this sounds like a great tool for kids. Like I was in it, so we're kind of in our silo, and I thought I'll teach it to my kids and it'll help my kids. And that was what I was thinking. And it did. Like I honestly saw such incredible growth. We could do a whole podcast episode on growth mindset, but I also started to internalize it myself and realize that, wow, I'd been holding myself back with a fixed mindset and all these limiting beliefs. So if I switched to a growth mindset, I could do anything I wanted with practice and learning the skills and all of that. So yeah, so that was incredible. And then of course I got introduced properly to meditation. I had been introduced to it a few times, but not in a way that worked for me. And the visualization. And then the latest tool in and movement has always been something for me, like dancing as a kid. I just intuitively would dance and feel better. And then I probably lost the intuition part of it, but I always loved fitness classes and I became a Zumba instructor and I loved spreading the joy there. And then my latest tool is breath work, which you introduced me to. So
Mhm.
thank you so much. I'm eternally grateful for that. See, I learned from so many people. Like I'm like a librarian of resources. That's what teachers do. We learn from others. We like steal everybody's ideas and compile them, and we use them. That's what we do.
It's not stealing, it's called R&D, okay? Which,
R&D, that's
yeah, which now stands for rob and duplicate.
right. That's right.
Before we get into visualization and the power of that, um, did you finally connect with your inner child, that little 4-year-old? And when you did, what did she have to say? What did she want to express to you?
Thank you for asking, because it's funny. I've wanted to share this story for a while. I did in a meditation, a guided meditation in this group guided meditation, have the most amazing experience with my inner child. And I had again done some breathwork inner child stuff that kind of was like maybe this level surface-ish kind of thing, but this got super, super deep where I could absolutely like just see her, touch her, feel her, hear her, which sounds, to people who don't meditate, like, what is that? But it's hard to explain if you haven't experienced it. It was just so real, so tangible. And but funny enough, we were like up on clouds, like as if we were, I don't know, not in heaven, but just up in the sky on clouds. And I just watched her, and for the first time she was dancing. Of course she was dancing, because as I said, I love to dance. And for the first time I just laid back like on my cloud, looking at her and thinking, wow, look how beautiful she is. Look how perfect she is. And I could never have said I was beautiful growing up. I never thought that about myself, never mind said it. And it was so cool to recognize that she was so beautiful and so perfect. And then she just came and hugged me, and I told her I loved her. She told me she loved me. And I promised her that I would never leave her alone again. And I have kept true to that promise, and life has been a lot better since.
And last week we talked to Cheryl Martin about trauma, and your inner child probably went through a lot of trauma, and now you sort of really work to heal that, and then trauma moves into depression and anxiety and a whole litany of mental health issues. So way to go, for taking that on, right? And we're afraid to go back and talk to our inner child. People don't even understand it. And in my interview last week with Cheryl, I was doing an online meditation, and they said that our trauma actually begins in the womb, when we're being born. It's like it takes it takes courage just to come out of the womb and hello world, and what's in store. And now, look at the times we're in. It's like, well, did I really sign up for this? Yeah. So it's
Sure.
kind of interesting for sure.
It is.
So you've added to the toolbox, and I really like it. And I like the fact that you share it with others in your work. You talked about embracing visualization, and now silence and stillness, right? So let's explore the visualization piece a little bit further, Emmy. And by the way, we're interviewing Emmy Rousseau. She's joining us from her home office in Brampton today. And if you're very literal minded, or maybe you're a more pragmatic person, you might have a healthy dose of skepticism about the power of visualization. And indeed, there's many who are not wrong in believing that visualization or visualizing your success amounts to little more than just like, well, you're being lazy, sitting on the couch and dreaming, right? But it's more than that, isn't it? And it's more than just sitting back and imagining good things will happen. There's actually a huge body of research suggesting that mental imagery can dramatically impact our actions. So how has practicing visualization helped you?
Oh, like hugely. Honestly, it helps me to go into the day with a super positive vision of what the day is going to be like, because it's part of my morning routine. So I spend 10 minutes visualizing the day. And if I'm done visualizing the day before the 10-minute timer goes off, then I keep visualizing, the rest of my future life kind of thing. I go forward. So I spend 10 minutes in visualization. And then honestly, 9 times out of 10, although the day obviously isn't always going exactly as I visualized, it 9 times out of 10 is going that well or better in a way I could not have even expected. It is so cool. And the days I don't take the time to visualize, I rush around, or whatever, I don't do it. Those tend to be the days that are a little bit tougher. So it really has made a huge difference in my life. Even yesterday, if I can just give a quick example, I visualized my partner and I, like my romantic partner and I, are embarking on this business venture together. And I hadn't been feeling aligned with some of the parts of it. And I was really just like, I want to feel aligned. I don't want to do something that doesn't feel good just to make money. Like I want to be able to follow my bliss. I want to do what feels aligned. So I sat there and I visualized that this session of working together was going to be the most, our best day yet. And one other time I did that, and it was our best day yet in something that was really awesome for him, but not so awesome for me. And I was like, well, I did it to myself because I wasn't specific enough. And there's that balance of like how specific and how general. So they say to be as general as you can, but still to get what you need and what you want. I shouldn't say what you need, but what you desire. And so I thought, okay, I'm going to be more specific than just, it's going to be our greatest day. I'm going to say that it's going to be our greatest day monetarily. So I imagined more, I could visualize more money coming in than had come in any other day. And that it was going to be more fun. So I visualized having lots of fun with him. And what was the third thing? Oh, and that it would be like lots of new things. And every single one of those things happened. And I don't talk to him about what did I visualize. He doesn't talk to me about it. So it's not like we're sitting there then going, oh, okay, this is what we're going to do. So we put our focus together efforts into that happening. The universe brings it to us, whether you want to call the universe God or whatever. It really does come to you because we are powerful co-creators. We don't realize how powerful we are, but it was just incredible.
You work in the school system. We're going to talk next week with Jennifer Green about her new book and reaching kids in terms of helping them relax and de-stress and meditate. But do you think that they should be adding this kind of learning to the school system?
Absolutely.
Visualization, meditation, because these are key elements in your toolbox towards dealing with mental health and your overall well-being.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I firmly believe in it. And I actually, I implemented those tools in my classrooms. And then last year when I was changed to a French teacher where I'm just going class to class for 40 minutes, I really missed that because I was like, how can I bring this to those kids in 40 minutes who don't have time to meditate in French? Nonetheless, they wouldn't have got it. But so what can I do? And I finally settled on, okay, I can't give them a huge growth mindset thing. I can't give them mindfulness, but we did run weekly wellness Wednesdays at school. And so we would do like a recess thing, which was cool. And I was part of that. But I decided, what I can do is give them a motivational quote of the week in French, and we'll say it 5 times every day at the beginning of things. So they're learning vocab and they're feeling motivated, like about life and themselves. And so you can find ways to always integrate it, but I firmly believe it should be a part of the curriculum. Like there's social emotional learning now, and that's a good start, but it needs to go further for sure.
So you just shared a time where your visualization work manifested, like yesterday, and a recent research coming out of Oxford and Cambridge in England suggests that not only is it important to vividly imagine the details about a bright future and how that actually does dramatically increase your energy and your momentum, as you've already alluded to with kids. And it has to lead to also constructive action. When our mind's eye can picture exactly what the bright future looks like, it can orient itself in the direction that we envision. So notable teachers like Dr. Joe Dispenza, Robin Sharma, both stress the importance of visualization. Athletes like Seattle Seahawks quarterback Russell Wilson visualizes the game. He swears by it. He said, yeah, I've seen the game before it happened. That's how we won our first Super Bowl. And the former coach of the Chicago Bulls, Phil Jackson, he led the Chicago Bulls to what, 5 or 6 championship winning teams. And he would not only have the team practice, but he would guide them in a physical practice and a meditation each time out. So, Emmy, my question to you is, visualization is good, it's important, but it's only half the equation towards achieving a goal. So talk to us about taking actions to help it happen. What actions did you have to do yesterday, or when you've had visualization, done visualization work in the past, what actions did you have to take in order for that visualization to actually manifest?
That is a great question. And it's true. Like, you don't just sit on the couch all day and visualize and then things just magically plop in your lap. The odd time some kind of miracle like that can happen, but it's usually not. But I hope actually that what people will get out of this today is, like you talked about as an entrepreneur, putting blood, sweat, and tears into it. And I hope for you, and I do see it in you, so I'm sure you'll agree that maybe this time around, it's a little less blood, sweat, and tears and a little more allowing, right? So first of all, we have to just allow and be open to receiving. That's sometimes the hardest step for people, and a huge action to just be open to receiving. And then when you're open to receiving those messages, which don't always come during the meditation or the visualization, sometimes they come later in the day in an unexpected way, Like, for example, my boyfriend had said, I said something about this amazing visualization I had one day, and I shared with him, and he was like, oh, goes, you know what? I put out there today that something is missing from my meditation routine, and I can't remember what's missing. And I don't know. I just remember something isn't feeling like it's there. And I just put it out into the universe. Like, I wonder what it is. Show me what it is. And then later on that night, I'm talking about this visualization. He goes, that's what it was. I forgot to do visualization. I used to do it, and then I forgot about it. And the answer came to him. He didn't ask me, and I didn't hear him. I wasn't there when he asked the universe, and yet it just came to him. So another thing people can do that is so powerful is ask the question then through the day, what else is possible today? And I encourage you to put, the amazing Carol Boston taught that to me. So I encourage you to put it on sticky notes everywhere to make it a habit, right? And I have it on my mirror here that's in front of me. I have it on my front door. I have it on my stairwell, have it on my bathroom mirror, have it on my night table, alarm clock thing. So everywhere I go, I see what else is possible today. And literally, especially when I'm coming down the stairs, I don't know why that one gets me so much. I'll come down the stairs and I'll be like, what else is possible today? It's so enthusiastically. My kids just laugh because they always are, here comes mom down the stairs. But that, just putting that question out there, you will get the answers if you're open to them. And then following, and the answers often come sometimes from people that, we didn't expect it. We'll get this offer, and then we can accept the offer. We can go forward and move, or just listening to our intuition. Our intuition really knows best. And so that's what happened for me yesterday. I literally was ready to do the same kind of work we were always doing, and then I just looked at myself in the mirror, and this intuitive hit came and said, do this instead. And I said to him, Jay, I'm gonna do this instead. And he's like, really? Are you sure? Because I had kind of talked to him about an issue that had been a limiting belief that had been holding me back from the day before. I talked to him the day before about something from childhood. He's like, are you sure? I'm like, I am 100% sure. I feel so good about this. And he's like, all right, cool. And then he just watched me in action, and it was incredible how I felt different because I was being more authentically me. I wasn't holding back this limiting belief. So listening to your intuition and just following it. Who was it? It was a guy, I forget, some, teacher guru that said he once had this idea come to him to just literally follow whatever idea came to him, no matter how out there it sounded. He would just do exactly what came to him. And he's like, I started doing it, and amazing things happened. So I think following your intuition, that's the best action, because we don't always know our conscious mind, our ego gets in the way. It plays these
Mhm.
stories. So, okay, I have to do this. I have to make 17 calls first. Then I have to do X, Y, Z. Then I then I have to book my day, meetings all day. And I have to network and I have to this and I have to that. And maybe your body says, it's time to take a rest. Then if you take a rest, it's amazing how then you could actually have more energy for the rest of your afternoon per se, for example. So listening
Yeah,
to your intuition and just following what it says. That's what
yeah,
I have found works.
yeah. And some countries, they have the afternoon siesta, so,
Mhm.
and I believe that, maybe we need to re-examine how we work and better, you can accomplish more in short bursts than you can in working all day. I remember working at a full-time position a few years ago, and there's a lot of time wasted, talking to your peers, going for coffee break, whatever, there's a lot of time wasted. And I always felt like, man, if I just put in 4 hours a day, really solid work and focus, that's equal to my 8 hour day. So yeah, you're
Mhm.
totally right. You know, if you're working with a client and you do coaching as well, and you're working around their healing journey, or maybe they have a block, or maybe they want to achieve a certain result in their life, what would you say to them as a way towards moving out of pain and suffering to a more desirable preferred state?
Mm. I would encourage them to tune in and listen to themselves. And that is something that a lot of people don't know how to do. I think we all are born into this like perfect life, having our perfect life, knowing what our perfect life is, because we are run by our intuition when we're little. And then we tend to lose it. Studies have shown like somewhere around the ages of 8 or 9, outside influences start to influence us more than our own, egocentric self. So it's so funny that we say like kids are so self-centered as if that's a bad thing. But really, if we're doing it in a pure intuitive way, it's actually the perfect way. We should learn more from them. But I think that's what I would encourage people. And that's what people often need guidance into. Well, how do I do that? So for some, it's going to be meditation, and meditation can look a million different ways. It doesn't have to be just like, no, like that's one meditative type. There are walking meditations, there are silent meditations, there are guided meditations. There's so many different types. I liken it to like literature, where if people say they don't like to read, I'm like, try something different because you'll find a genre you like. It's like that with meditation. I really think there's a genre, for lack of a better word, that can work for everyone. So I help them to find what works for them. And really, even in that, like, it's always asking questions like, how does that feel? What do you think about that? Is that something you think you'd like to try? Because it's not, hey, I don't believe in a signature method. Follow my 20 steps and you'll get to, no, because your 20 steps are different than my 20 steps, are different than Susie's 20 steps. It has to be what's right for you. So asking a lot of questions of how does that feel? And if it doesn't resonate, cool. Well, here's another tool. Let's explore that a bit. How does that sound? Some
Right.
people it's journaling. Some people it's staring at the fence, like literally sitting, staring at the fence, but having some kind of quiet time is really, really key.
So does one's depression and anxiety magically disappear when we practice the tools you have in your toolbox?
No. I mean, depression, I can speak to on a lot more scientific level than anxiety, because I always felt I had depression, but anxiety, I think I've always had anxiety, but I didn't realize that till maybe 5-7 years ago. So I
Mhm.
know a lot more of the science behind depression, but it's a chemical imbalance in your brain. So that chemical imbalance is not going away, but we can find tools to help cope. And the more tools we find to help cope, the lesser the incidences tend to get in severity and in length. So I still have moments where I'm like, but now they might last an hour or 45 minutes instead of a day or 2 days or 3 days or 2 weeks like they used to be, So it is just And really, like, life is ebb and flow, right? So we're always going to have ups and downs, whether you have depression or you don't. And it's also, I want to talk to that it's a spectrum. So you may have depression, you may have anxiety, or you may be like somewhere here where you don't have it, but you have symptoms of it from time to time. And all of that, who cares? Like, it's really about the symptoms, not if you have the diagnosis or you don't. You can still experience those symptoms. And so, no, they don't go away, but we learn how to deal with them.
How then do we begin to make friends with the past? So some people have had really horrific experiences that are really super traumatic. So how do we begin to maybe really make friends with the past and begin to move forward? You talked about inner child, you talked about visualization, meditation. Is there anything else that you want to maybe speak to about that?
I think another really big key, which is also such a hard step for people, is to reach out for help. Because let's all just realize that none of us are gods, and so we don't have all the answers, like, just right here in the top of mind. There are always things we're going to need help with. It's just human nature. It is human. It's being human. It's being human. We don't have all the answers readily accessible. Yes, inside, do we have them? Yes, but we don't know how to access them all. So reaching out to help, whether that means, and sometimes you, like I did, you go to a friend or you go to a loved one and they don't believe you, and then whatever, and it makes you feel alone. You're never alone. Even when you feel alone, there's always somebody out there that A, is going through a similar thing, and B, that maybe they're not, but they care and they will support you. There's always those two kinds of people. And sometimes it's hard to find them. I'm not saying it's always easy, like, oh, ask the first person and be there. No, but like, just keep reaching out. So it could be a trusted friend, it could be a loved one, but they may not have the tools to support you. It could be a professional in the holistic world, or a doctor, a therapist, but just reach out and seek the help you need. Seeking help, people see it as this sign of weakness, but it's really a sign of strength. It's when we are too weak that we don't feel we can reach out for help. And that's not a judgment. It's just the reality, right? When we feel too low, we feel too tired, we feel too proud, we feel too anything, that's when we feel like we can't reach out for help. It takes strength to reach out for help, and you can do it. So
thanks. Lastly, you just went on a silent retreat, right? Last weekend.
It was not a silent retreat, but it was a retreat. Yes.
Okay. What did you uncover about yourself in that weekend retreat?
I had such amazing growth over that retreat. The theme of it, I don't know if it was planned or whether the meditation yoga teacher just kind of intuitively took it from what, she sensed. I'm not sure, but the theme of the unknown and accepting the unknown kept coming up. And actually, not only accepting the unknown, but uncovering the magic in the unknown, in the fact that that's where we really grow and learn. That was magical for me, because it made me realize, like, I've heard a lot, and it's been my intention to many, many days in my 5-minute journal, I'll write, I will be present in the moment. It's something I'm consistently working on and often not doing a great job at.
I know, we're always like in the past, or else we're in the future.
Right. Yeah. So the depression is in the past and the anxiety is in the future for me.
Yeah.
And so that's where I was living a lot of my struggle moments. And when I realized that, well, if I can accept that the unknown has the magic, and it's true, that's where my growth and learning happen, and I love to grow and learn, then all I need to do is, like, remember, is this that's worrying me happening right now? No? Okay, well, let's just take a moment, breathe to reset, and be right here. Right now in this moment, am I safe? Am I well? Is everything good? Yep. Well, then what am I worried about the future? Like, I don't know the future. I don't have the magic ball. So let me surrender that to the one that has the magic ball, and he will take care of it. And I can just go about my right now moment. So that was a huge aha for me. And I also was, for the first time, able to let go of FOMO, which, if somebody doesn't know what FOMO is, it's fear of missing out. I have had forever a huge fear of missing out. I don't want to miss any words in a conversation. I don't want to miss a party. I don't want to miss. And on this retreat, I the reason why David jokes that it's a silent retreat is because I took time to get away from everyone's talking and be in silence with myself. I took time to go on a walking meditation when I felt like that's what I needed. So I did take silent time when I felt I needed it. And then I came back so joyful and so ready to engage with everybody else. And it was perfect for me.
So the silence that you took on that retreat, how has it helped you since? Like this? I
Well, I
sense a
think
bit of a realignment of your
yes.
goals and your inner self has happened. Do you want to share more?
Well, like I said, it helped me to realize that like the key for me to letting go of the fear and truly surrendering, which surrender has been my word of the year and something I've been working on and wanting to do. And I know every time I do it, I feel better, but I still struggle to do it sometimes. That silence helped me to realize like, okay, what is it that you're holding on to? Okay. And how can you? And then the 2 days later, in the 2 days that followed, the rest I gave myself and the silence I gave myself helped me to integrate that whole, the key is really just, yeah, the present moment is just like, right now, am I okay? If I'm feeling bad, like, hey, return to now. So that's how it helped me.
So more tools for the toolbox. So what I heard was get silent maybe a bit more often in your day-to-day. Be in the now or in the moment, which we hear a lot. Thank you, Eckhart Tolle. For putting that into our consciousness, accepting what is, really nurturing and loving yourself, that you're whole and complete as you are, even with our wounds and our little, things that have happened in the past. And then, also just the power of a retreat, taking a time out as well, is what I heard. So are those going to go into the toolbox too?
Oh, absolutely. And they have been, in certain ways, but it really solidified them for me. And rest. Lisa Nichols talked about how the root of restoration is rest, and how like when you are resting, you are restoring your body. And don't we all want to have, beautifully restored homes, beautifully restored furniture, everything? We want everything to, well, if we want our bodies and our minds and our souls to be restored, we need to rest. And so much healing happens when you rest. So like taking the dirty word out of rest and napping and all of that is also something that I have realized. I've always believed in the power of a nap just to rejuvenate myself physically, but I'm realizing more and more the inner healing my body does when I rest.
Yeah, and also it allows for our subconscious to work. It allows for dream work,
Exactly.
and we can work out issues when we rest. Very important.
Mm-hmm.
Emmy, I want to thank you for this today. What a joy having you.
It was such a joy to have this conversation with you. Thank you for
Yeah,
allowing me to come on and share.
what a pleasure. That was Emmy Rousseau. She's a coach, a facilitator, a speaker, a teacher, Zumba practitioner. What else? And mental health specialist. I'm going to say to that as well. So for you watching or listening today, thank you. Thank you for being part of RiSE, the podcast. Our goal really is to inspire individuals like you to rise up. So that's the R in RiSE. Inspire or make an impact. That's the I. Be socially aware. That's the S. And continue the entrepreneurial spirit. That's the E, to make life and the world a better place. So join us next week as we welcome Jennifer Green, who we happen to both know, Emmy and I, and she's going to talk about her new children's book. It's a coloring book and a movement to help children manage stress and improve their sense of self. Until then, I'm your host, David Cohen, and until next week, rise up.